I woke up from the fact that I was ringing the doorbell. It was outrageous, because on the weekend I used to sleep from 10 o'clock. I thought it was the owner of the apartment. He immediately seemed to me a strange guy. Someone left a craft envelope in front of the door, and there was a note in a clumsy handwriting on a white sheet. The rule of the day is not to say the word window more than 3 times. The kids are fooling around, I thought. They didn't let me sleep. I repeated aloud in a loud voice, "Window, window, window, window. And what will you do to me?" And in the same second, something hit the glass. A heavy and deft blow was heard from the room. I dropped the sheet and ran to see what was there. It was a bird. A big black bird crashed into a closed window, spread its wings, and now slowly crawled down, leaving a bloody trail. It was a grouch. I recognized him by his big beak. Cracks crawled along the glass like a web. At first, I was scared that I would have to pay for a new glass, and then I remembered that the apartment was not mine. The window cracked not on my fault, so no money. Calming down, I began to feel sorry for the bird. It crawled on the tin windowsill, and the dead one fell down from the 12th floor. Poor thing. Doctors are as smart as people. Suddenly, all sorts of thoughts were spinning in her head. She dreamed, got distracted, and banged into the glass. Wiping the blood from the outside of the window, I decided that I would not say anything to the owner of the apartment, because I live here for the first day and already call with bad news. I'll live with cracked glass for now. It's okay. The doorstep still had an envelope with a note. The rule of the day. Do not say the word window more than 3 times. And I specifically said this word 4 times, and the grouch crashed into the glass. Because of such coincidences, people become superstitious. They begin to believe in all sorts of nonsense. I was not one of the fools. This is a coincidence, and no more. The next morning, I found another craft envelope on the kitchen table. The first thought, the owner of the apartment is a sick bastard, and he arranged maniacal games. He came here at night. But then I realized that this could not be. I closed the front door on the chain, and it hung in its place. And the lock in the door is noisy, and I have a bad dream. I would hear. Then where did the envelope come from on the kitchen table? Probably he was always there, and I just did not notice him. There was a note in the envelope. The rule of the day. Do not look at the corner of the sofa more than 5 times a day. Written with a ballpoint pen. Still the same clumsy handwriting. I crumpled the paper together with the envelope and threw it into the trash can, and then pulled it back, deciding that then I would show all this to the owner of the apartment. Someone must answer me for these jokes. Do not look at the corner of the sofa more than 5 times a day. How is it even possible if this corner is visible immediately when you enter the room? So I went into the room. This is 1. I looked there for no reason, because now I was thinking about this corner. This is 2. I was looking for a phone, accidentally looked at the corner. This is 3. I got up from the sofa to stretch my back. The look caught. 4. I thought, turned my head, again looked at the corner behind the sofa. 5. So I exhausted the daily limit, and then I lost count of how many times I looked there. And then this happened. On the wallpaper in the corner behind the sofa, dirty water began to flow, dark brown streams with a greenish drain. And okay, it was pouring from the ceiling. Everything is clear here, the neighbors are pouring. But the dirty water, contrary to the laws of physics, flowed from bottom to top. It did not hit the ceiling with a fountain, but flowed into the ceiling and crawled through the plaster of a puddle, from which not a single drop fell. It lasted a few minutes, and a quarter of the ceiling became black. Dirty water absorbed into the plaster. The light wallpaper was also stained, swollen, and peeled off. What a horror. Yes, this is a curse. I opted for a low rent price. A new house not far from the city center. The price was so convenient that I could rent this apartment alone. The owner explained this by the fact that the main thing for him is to rent, so that they would pay for utilities. But the apartment was in good condition until I moved in. It does not seem that this happened here all the time. I did not know how to react to this and what to do about it. New day, new note. I woke up and saw the closet open. Among my things was a foreign suit. A craft envelope was fastened to it with a pin. I angrily tore the package and stared at the paper. Rules of the day. Wear a strange outfit all day. What? This suit? Cheap black satin jacket, wide pants, shirt, and ugly tie? Yes, only bury someone in this, but not me. I will not go to the university in this old man's clothes. They will laugh at me. I dressed as usual and went outside. I was in a bad mood. Recently I was happy in a good apartment, and then a setback. Was it a rational explanation for everything? There was a lot of dirt on the street. I walked around the puddles, trying not to get my new sneakers dirty. And everything is empty. Out of nowhere, a huge black dog threw me into the mud. This shaggy bastard bit my leg, and I screamed from unbearable pain. She clung to my pants, gnawed my palm, bit and splashed with saliva. It seemed to me that the eyes of that dog were some kind of red, and they glow like bulbs. I hit her with my free leg in the face. The dog barked and jumped off, and then she ran away unknowingly. How did she disappear? I, frightened, all smeared with dirt, swung back, dragging my injured leg behind me. The new sneaker was damaged, the pants were hanging bare, and everything below the knee turned into a solid wound. Clenching my teeth, I washed my leg under the shower. How many bites were there? I wrapped the wounds with a bandage. Now I had to go to the hospital. The dog is probably mad, if it was a dog at all. I went for clean things and, oh my God, the doors fell off the closet and all my clothes were scattered in the trunk, spread on a thread, and lay in a dusty heap. It was eaten by a legion of moles. Egyptian executions are no different. Only one satin suit hung untouched, wearing a strange outfit all day. I had no choice now. I got into oversized trousers, wrapped myself in a shirt, and called a doctor. The ambulance worker was surprised by my appearance and the situation in the apartment, but only asked about the dog. I did not mention that her eyes were shining like lights. I was given a shoulder injection and told to come to the hospital in 3 days. It did not get any easier. The leg was burning, pulsing, twitching, so I spent the whole day on painkillers. When I let go a little, I fell asleep. I was morally destroyed. How long did I sleep? 12 hours. I opened my eyes. It's a pity that all this was not a dream. Cracked window, black corner, black stains on the ceiling, broken wardrobe, and this terrible suit on me. There was nothing else to put on. The new craft envelope was lying right next to me. I did not know whether to open it or not. Will the ignorance of the rule free me from its execution? Perhaps the most correct decision would be not to read these notes, but just to leave this apartment forever. But rational thoughts come when the head is cold, and I was emotionally inflamed, so I opened the package. Rules of the day. Do not name the name you love. It seemed too simple. In any case, it's simple. If I had a girlfriend, then I could just call her all day some affectionate nickname. But I don't have a girlfriend. It turns out that I have no one to call by name, and whom can I love? I remembered something, my ex-girlfriend. She stopped talking to me a few months ago. Did we have love? This girl was the first to confess in her feelings. No one told me such words, and it scared me. I didn't know what to do with it. I couldn't tell her the same thing. I just couldn't. It was something strange and incomprehensible for me. It was an unexpected turn. After all, we were just friends. I didn't answer her anything. Nothing at all. And she thought I was cold to her. It wasn't like that. I had feelings. I just didn't know which ones. Was it love? After that, something fell apart between us. It became difficult. I avoided this girl. And one day she said she didn't want to talk to me anymore. And I became too closed. Did I love her? Yes, I loved her. It became obvious only when she left my life. Since that moment, there was no day when I didn't remember her. Her name was Vika. I didn't come up with any affectionate nicknames for her. I always called her by her name, Vika. I said it out loud. By accident. In loneliness, thoughts themselves turn into words. You just start saying what you think. But you couldn't do that. I accidentally called her name and hit myself on the lips. But you can't return what you said. I was already called at the door. Oh, something is going to happen now. I went to open. It seemed to me that there was no point in hiding. What should happen will happen. It is now inevitable. She was standing at the doorstep. It was Vika, a pretty girl of short height, colored pink strands, a shining smile, but at the same time always sad eyes, my ex-girlfriend with whom I talked for several months. Vika, I called her by her name again. Is that you? I couldn't believe it. How could she be here? She didn't teleport to my door in a second. Yes, she couldn't even know where I live now. Hi, are you going to look out like that? Or will you let me in? she asked. I had such a stupid look, and there was a mess in the apartment, but I opened the door. Well, come in. And Vika, not undressing, slipped past me into the kitchen. She behaved strangely. I followed her. I wanted to ask why she was here, and I found her with a knife in her hands. The girl took it from the nightstand. Do you love me? Vika asked, pointing a sharp knife at her stomach. What are you doing? I exclaimed. Are you out of your mind? Do you love me? She repeated with a soft smile. She squeezed the knife with such force that her hand trembled. Answer yes or no. I didn't know what to do, and I just decided to answer what my inner voice told me. Yes, I love. Vika shone, and a light of madness shone in her eyes. She waved and stabbed herself in the stomach. The girl stretched out when she took the blade out of herself, and then she hit herself again, and again, and again. The blood spilled in strong streams. What are you doing? Stop it, I shouted. I screamed, but Vika continued to beat herself with a knife. I ran into the room, sat down on the floor, and clamped my ears with my palms. The kitchen heard the blows. I shuddered from everyone. Then there was a rumble. The chair creaked. The stools flew to the sides. Only when the sun began to tilt to the horizon, I decided to look. Vika was lying on the floor, face up. The knife was sticking out of her stomach. Her blood was everywhere. It spilled over the kitchen with a round puddle. The walls were sprayed on her, and I was all in her blood. The girl's lips turned blue, and the pupils became like thick cigarette smoke. It seemed to me that this was my fault. In the notes it was said what not to do, but I did the opposite. It's all my fault. I'm sorry, I will do everything as it is said. Only please, let everything return as it was. Sometimes you see a terrible dream, and when you wake up, you feel relieved that it was just a nightmare. The opposite happened to me. I had a dream that in my old apartment I was doing all sorts of household chores, trying to pay off my school debts, and I was so calm in my usual worries. And then I woke up and realized that all this confusion had gone nowhere. The apartment was a mess. My leg was swollen even more. I was in bloody clothes, and my ex-girlfriend's corpse was lying in the kitchen. Her body now lay in a different position. The position of the hands and head changed. This was said by the traces in the thick puddle of blood. I guessed that these movements were caused by the stages of corporeal constipation, which takes place just in the first 24 hours. The new envelope lay in the mirror in the bathroom. The rule of the day. The whole day, at the beginning of each hour, read aloud to 60. The clock was without 2 minutes 6 in the morning, just not to break everything at the very beginning. I looked at the clock without breaking away, and at exactly 6, I began to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on until 60. The heart is tired. You need to repeat the same thing 23 more times. It turns out that you need to wake up every hour at night, or it's better not to sleep at all. I thought, and just in case, I set the alarms so that they rang every half hour. I sat on the floor in the room, not taking my eyes off the clock. So I spent the morning, day, evening, and night. It seemed to me that the days flew by quickly. I seemed to be busy with a very important job. Closer to 4 in the morning, I almost fell asleep, and it scared me so much that I lost all desire to sleep. The last time I counted to 60 at 5 in the morning, and at exactly 6, I heard a crack from the window. The sound was strange, reverberant. I looked. Cracks on the glass. They disappeared before my eyes. The broken glass was restored. I ran up to the window to make sure it was all true, and saw a black bird rise up and fly away. This is the same doctor who rose. So there's a chance to fix everything. You just need to do everything as stated in the notes. A new envelope was already waiting for me on the windowsill. The rule of the day was not to blink more than 100 times a day. At first it seemed to me that this was impossible to do. Then I figured out what to do with it. I glued my eyes with tape and tied them with a piece of cloth. I swore to myself that I would not take off the bandage until the next morning, until I received a notification. It was easy. Most of the time I overslept as I was tired for days without sleep. The rest of the time I lay in bed, waiting for the signal to sound. The morning came, I took off the bandage, the light hit my eyes painfully. Dirty water was flowing around the corner of the sofa. Only now not from the bottom up, but from the top down, as it should be. The spot on the ceiling was reduced until it disappeared completely, leaving no trace of snow-white plaster. The wallpaper in the corner was also cleaned and glued in place. It worked. Meanwhile, my leg, after dog bites, became very bad. I missed the second shot of rabies. The dead Vika in the kitchen has already dried to the floor. There was a smell. I will fix everything. If I complete all the tasks, everything will be as it was. New envelope and rules of the day. Jump on one leg. I'm already doing it. It was funny to me, and I nervously laughed until I coughed. The next morning, the doors of the closet jumped and took their places. A bunch of rotten rags turned into my clothes again. And even the sneakers torn by the dog and torn pants became whole. But my sick leg did not heal. It hurt, twitched, and tore. What did I do wrong? Or did I do everything right, but not everything can be fixed? I did not want to believe it. I hoped that Vika would resurrect and get out of here. Let her just resurrect and get out of here so as not to see her ever again. I'm not in love anymore. The rules of the day seemed impossible. Become deaf for a day. Fortunately, I found earplugs. I put on headphones with noise cancellation on top. I wrapped them with tape around my head. Taking the risk of suffocating, I tied my head with a fluff blanket and locked myself in the closet. It was a mockery. It was an exhausting marathon. Several times a day, I lost consciousness from a lack of air, vomited from the heat. My whole body was swollen, especially the unhealthy leg. I had to wet my pants because I couldn't go to the toilet. But I achieved my goal. I didn't hear anything for a whole day except the noise of my own blood circulation. A phone vibrated in my pocket. I put it in flight mode, so it could only be an alarm clock. A day passed. My torments were over. I tore off the tape from my head along with my hair. It was also painful to take out the earplugs. They stuck later. Something was cracking in the kitchen. I crawled on all fours to see. The dead Vika tore herself off the floor. She got up on her feet and threw her head up. The sticky puddle on the floor turned into dust and disappeared. Blood stains on the wallpaper disappeared. But there was no living shine in the eyes of the girl. Corpse spots did not disappear from her face, and the black ones on the stomach did not last long. She was dead, but her hand pulled a knife out of her stomach and put it back in the nightstand. The dead girl walked past me to the front door, pulled out a pen, and left. She did not resurrect, but she left. I am not to blame for anything. She was no longer in this apartment, like the traces of what she did. I didn't have to stay here either. I'm getting out of here. Where is the apartment owner's number? I'm moving out. Hello? The wheezing answered in the phone. Hey you, I'm moving out. Take the apartment and get the money. I shouted. Do what you want. This is not my apartment. They answered me. What? Not yours? And whose then? I don't know. And don't call here anymore. The call broke. What did it mean? I don't care. I'm leaving. I wanted to leave before a new envelope appeared from somewhere, but he took it right at the doorstep. It's more expensive not to open it for yourself. There were no words. Rules of the day. There was a whole numbered list there, and the line under the number 1 said, answer yes when you are asked a question. The doorbell rang. I got up from the 4-leaf clover, somehow leaned on my sick leg and opened it. Oh, hello, said the long-bearded guy. I knew him. We studied at the same university. One day he helped me out a lot in school, and I'm on the ad. So you rent an apartment? He asked. Yes. I didn't want to drag him into this. I just did the assignment from the list. Otherwise it was impossible. Why so cheap? No, I can't offer more. Just for such a price, now you can't even rent a room. So I was lucky. The guy looked around the apartment with delight, asked questions, and I answered as it was written on the sheet. And it turned out that we agreed on a deal. I went to the entrance, leaving the lucky guy in that apartment. The last item on the list was to come up with the first simple task for him and throw the envelope into the first mailbox. The envelope with an empty sheet and a ballpoint pen lay on the stairs. I came up with the task while driving in the elevator. I put the paper to the wall and wrote with a trembling hand. The rule of the day: don't knock on the table with your fist. It's simple. He will be smarter than me and won't do it on purpose. I, limping, came out of the entrance. I was bent from pain. My leg was barely moving. I hoped that it would not be cut off. I found the nearest mailbox on the corner of the street. There was a long-closed post office. Even some letters on the sign fell off. I stuck the envelope, stuffed it into the box, and swung on.